From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aylia Batool. Nearly 6 million Americans who rely on federal heating aid could lose support as the government shutdown continues. This and more on today's show, so stay tuned. The federal government has announced major flight cuts as the shutdown begins to strain the aviation system. Flights will be reduced by 10% at 40 airports across the United States starting Friday, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said Wednesday. Duffy said the move is aimed at easing pressure caused by staff shortages during the shutdown. Duffy said this isn't about which airline or airport has more flights, it's about where the pressure is and how to relieve it. Federal Aviation Administration Administrator Brian Bedford says the 10% cut will help reduce strain on air traffic controllers. More reduction could follow if staffing shortages persist. Nearly 6 million Americans who rely on federal heating aid could lose support as the government shutdown continues. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, has been halted due to the funding standoff. President Donald Trump has earlier proposed eliminating the $4 billion program and dismissed the team that managed it. The delay means funds may not reach states until December, leaving vulnerable families exposed as winter sets in. Mark Wolf of the National Energy Assistance Directors Association warns that without aid, people could freeze to death. Heating costs are rising faster than inflation, and 1 in 6 U.S. households already is behind on energy bills. State officials say they can cover needs for only a short time, while charities are overwhelmed. Experts warn that without federal action soon, millions may face the cold without heat this winter. President Donald Trump is claiming that his tariffs prevented a global economic depression. In an interview with Fox News, Trump said the Supreme Court case on presidential powers and tariffs could be one of the most important in U.S. history. He argues that without tariffs, the entire world would be in a depression. The Supreme Court began hearings Wednesday on Trump's use of emergency powers to impose sweeping trade tariffs. Trump said his tariffs on China protected the global economy, citing rare earth materials as critical to stability. He added that without tariffs, his meetings with China's President Xi Jinping would not have happened. The tariffs started at 10% and now reach up to 50% on imports from countries like Brazil and India. The U.S. collected $195 billion in tariff revenue last year. Google has unveiled plans to build artificial intelligence data centers in space. The company's new initiative, called Project Suncatcher, aims to deploy clusters of solar-powered satellites into orbit by 2027. Google says approximately 80 satellites equipped with advanced processors will operate roughly 400 miles above Earth, linked through high-speed optical connections. These space-based centers will use sunlight to power AI systems, generating up to 8 times more energy than solar panels on Earth. Google claims the project could ease the strain on land and water resources while meeting the surging global demand for AI. Experts call it a bold step that could reshape how the tech industry handles energy-hungry AI workloads. An investigation is underway after a man disrupted Muslim students praying at the University of Houston. The incident happened on October 30th at Lynn Houston Park, where the Muslim Student Association had reserved a space for prayer. Witnesses say the man used a megaphone to shout anti-Islamic slurs before throwing a copy of the Quran into a bonfire. Campus security and university officials responded immediately and filed an incident report. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR in Houston, has urged police to treat the case as a possible hate crime. CAIR says such acts are an attack on religious freedom and the values of respect and inclusion. It has praised the university for its quick action and called for stronger protection for Muslim students on campus. Pro-Israel advocacy groups in the U.S. are testing novel legal strategies to pressure universities and silence Free Palestine voices. In California, 2 Jewish pro-Israel students have filed a class action lawsuit against Chapman University, backed by the National Jewish Advocacy Center. The suit uses workplace discrimination laws to claim anti-Semitism on campus. Rights groups say such lawsuits are increasingly being used to intimidate scholars and students who express sympathy for Palestine. Unlike earlier claims under federal civil rights law, the current case relies on a statute meant for employment contracts, an untested move that could expand future legal actions. Observers warn the approach reframes political activism as discrimination, threatening academic freedom. Analysts say the case is part of a wider push by pro-Israel organizations using legal, financial, and digital tools to censor criticism of Israel on U.S. campuses. YouTube has deleted more than 700 videos and closed 3 major Palestinian human rights accounts. Details coming up after the break. YouTube has deleted more than 700 videos and closed 3 major Palestinian human rights accounts. The move comes after the U.S. imposed sanctions on the groups for cooperating with the International Criminal Court in its case against Israel's crimes. The banned organizations Al-Haq, Al-Mizan, and the Palestinian Center for Human Rights shared footage showing alleged Israeli war crimes in Gaza and the West Bank. Their videos included survivor testimonies and reports on Israel's killing of journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. YouTube said the removals were required under U.S. sanctions law. But rights advocates say the decision censors Palestinian voices and destroys evidence of war crimes. Observers say deleting this content further hides the human cost of the war. The family of British journalist Sami Hamdi is demanding his immediate release after he was detained by U.S. immigration officials in San Francisco. The British-Tunisian commentator was taken into custody by plainclothes immigration and customs enforcement agents on October 26th. He is known for his criticism of Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza. His wife, Sami Hamdi, said she learned of his detention through a friend's message. She said officers claimed his visa was revoked but gave no reason. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security later accused him of supporting terrorism. Human rights groups and media unions have condemned the move as an attack on free speech. The UK Foreign Office has confirmed that it is in contact with U.S. authorities. Sami Hamdi has called on the British government to act and bring her husband home immediately. The Hind Rajab Foundation has filed a criminal complaint in Germany against former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert for war crimes during Israel's 2008 and 2009 assault on Gaza. German lawyer Melanie Schweizer submitted the case to prosecutors in Berlin and Karlsruhe under Germany's Code of Crimes against International Law. The complaint comes ahead of Olmert's scheduled appearance at the Haaretz Democracy Conference in Berlin. The foundation said Olmert, as prime minister, held command responsibility for Operation Cast Lead, which killed more than 1,300 Palestinians, including 300 children, and destroyed civilian areas. It cites reports by the UN and human rights groups accused Israel of unlawful attacks and the use of white phosphorus to harm civilians. Germany's courts have universal jurisdiction, allowing them to prosecute war crimes regardless of where they were committed. Hind Rajab Foundation Director Diab Abu Jahja says the Palestinian victims of Gaza deserve justice. The organization was established in memory of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian girl murdered by Israeli soldiers in Gaza in January 2024. Jewish groups in New York City remain split after Zohran Mamdani's election as mayor. Some influential figures, including pro-Israel billionaire Bill Ackman, who donated $1 million to an anti-Mamdani group last month, have extended an olive branch and urged cooperation. Others remain cautious. The Times of Israel reports that while Reform Jewish leaders are calling for unity and dialogue, several pro-Israel organizations are preparing to challenge the new mayor. The Anti-Defamation League, or ADL, has launched a Mamdani monitor to track his policies and appointments. ADL officials say they are concerned about his past support for the BDS movement and its possible impact on Jewish communities. However, progressive Jewish groups, including Jewish Voice for Peace, have celebrated Mamdani's victory. They are hoping for greater engagement on social and human rights issues. Only about 100 aid trucks are entering Gaza each day, far below what's needed for survival. Aid groups say Israel is blocking NGOs from distributing relief. Al Jazeera reports that the U.S. draft at the UN Security Council includes plans for a board of peace and an international stabilization force for Gaza as part of the ceasefire. Since the truce began on October 10th, Hamas has freed 20 Israeli prisoners and handed over the remains of 22 others. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says tens of thousands are sheltering in damaged buildings. In Gaza City's Daraj neighborhood, a building collapsed, killing at least one person. Civil Defense says many others remain trapped under the rubble, with the Committee for Missing Persons in Gaza putting the number at more than 10,000 Palestinians. The region still lacks the necessary equipment to recover the bodies. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 68,875 Palestinians and wounded 170,679 since October 2023. Pakistan has received ancient artifacts recovered in Italy. The embassy in Rome said the items, nearly 5,000 years old, belong to the prehistoric Kuli and Nal cultures of Pakistan's province of Balochistan. The artifacts arrived in Pakistan on October 30th. The embassy said nearly 100 culturally significant items have been retrieved from Italy over the past 18 years. Officials called it a symbol of strong cooperation between the two countries, both known for their ancient civilizations and UNESCO heritage sites. The embassy thanked Italian authorities for their support in recovering stolen and smuggled artifacts. Italy and Pakistan have long collaborated in archaeology. The Italian Archaeological Mission in Swat, northern Pakistan, was founded in 1955. It has produced nearly 1,500 research works. 2 Italian scholars have been honored by Pakistan for their contributions to archaeological research. The embassy said Pakistan takes pride in its identity as a cradle of civilizations. Nigerian Afrobeats superstar Burna Boy reveals that he has converted from Christianity to Islam. He described his faith journey as a long and confusing search for truth. In an interview with Black Boy Max, the Grammy-winning singer, whose real name is Damini Agulu, said he grew up in a Christian home and followed his parents' faith. He later made a conscious decision to embrace Islam, seeking deeper understanding and spiritual peace. Agulu said that after exploring different religions, his quest brought him more questions than answers, adding that he believes there is a creator. He said prayer gives him strength and a sense of divine protection that guides his life and music. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.